Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's pick a card reading is very special. It's absolutely inspired by a new sort of mini tarot deck that I got, or different tarot deck is probably the way to describe it. And it's by the wonderful artist Sophie Mackay Knight, who did the painted tarot and also the painted runes, both of which will also be used in this reading. But her genius idea was to create a set of 10 cards, so 10 beautiful paintings, 3 of which you can see here, that were based on the children that might happen if the major arcana, different major arcana hooked up and became parents, basically. So combining, I guess, the energies of the archetypes of the major arcana to create children and to see what the next generation tarot, and this is what it's called, the next generation tarot. So it's a set of 10 cards, beautifully painted, each with a child and each with that sort of backstory of who their parents are. And most have 2 major arcana, a couple of them have 3 major arcana for the 10 cards. And I thought, this is such a brilliant idea. I had to get the deck. I mean, I loved her other decks. I already had them. So her artwork is just sublime. But the idea is just so brilliant, because I thought if one was going to explore the inner child, and this is what this reading is about, it's about getting in touch with your sacred inner child, not just the kind of inner child experiences you might have had, but the sacred essence of your soul at that very formative level. Then what better than to use the archetypes, the major arcana, and how they might play out. So that's what this reading is about. It's about that, like what are the blessings of your inner child, what needs to be healed, how do others respond to it, and various other sorts of supports for you for having the highest happiness and good from your inner child and integrating that in your life as well. So I'll just put down the numbers for the readings. This is one of the sort of quicker, sort of shorter form reading styles, and I think I'm going to have 2 of those in a row just because I wanted to have this out as soon as I got the deck, basically. So you'll probably see this literally the day after I film it. But what I did to start with is that I shuffled the cards and asked Spirit to give me the top 3 children from the next generation tarot that could represent for the collective the energies of the inner child. There's a second card from that as well too, so we'll be combining the 2 energies and paying attention to what major arcana are associated with it, with some astrology as well, to sort of see how this is playing out, what aspects in life it would particularly play out in. So that's the beginning. So it may well be that the way that these are described, so pile 1 has love child, pile 2 has fallen child, and pile 3 has troublemaker, may be an energy that you relate to for your inner child, in which case that may make the choice easy. Of course, you can go to more than one reading if you feel drawn to more than one reading. No reason why not. There may be a number of aspects of your inner child across these sort of archetypes of the tarot that could be useful for you to get in touch with. So you do you might choose by numbers, whatever works for you. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps, as always, are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So here's the truth of the love child as one of the inner child, or one of the next generation tarot, the children of the major arcana that could represent part of your inner child. And that is connected with the 9th house, which is about how you expand yourself in the world, how you learn, your philosophies, all of that kind of thing, and how you actually broaden those horizons. So this is an explorative and a growth-oriented part of your inner child. You also brought in the truth teller, and that connects with the moon. So this is a very psychic, very emotional, very connected based inner child. Now, the interesting thing is, firstly, to tell you the major arcana that are involved. The love child is the child of the devil and the lovers. And so it is a story of the ecstasy of love and the choice of love, combined with maybe even the obsession or the sort of potential imprisonment that can come with love. So the energy of this child, this inner child, is how to love deeply and ecstatically, but not in a way that inhibits the freedom. And one of the things that the card talks about is dance and music as a way to give that liberation and get that connection to the divine, but also to the material and the ecstatic and all that is about love. So this is a child, a part of your inner child that wants connection, deep connection, but also wants freedom. And I think that part of the way that your inner child gets that is through making sure that you understand the world and understand the implications of things with the ninth house, and looks always to broaden your horizons. It is interesting with the freedom, the flight, the energy that we see here, of the sense of travel that comes with the ninth house. So many of you your inner child may wish to travel, may wish to explore, may wish to love and love across cultures and love across all the sorts of boundaries, but do it in such a way that is broadening. You don't want to be hemmed in. Your inner child needs a certain sense of freedom, artistry, music, ecstasy, but the sense of being liberated within it. And one of the challenges that your inner child has with the truth teller is the child of the high priestess and the tower. So the truth teller sees the truth in the way that the high priestess does, understands what's going on, and can see when things are not anymore serving what is necessary. They would very typically, and many of you may have been this, be a truth teller in a family when you were young. You may have seen, particularly with the moon here, this very deep emotional empathy and psychic ability. You may have seen what wasn't working in the structures of your family or in the structures of your school or anything, and you probably have carried that part of you, that part of your inner child forward in a sort of a prophetic, psychic sort of way. So this particular card talks about being able to see the truth but deal with the change and find the people that are right to connect with, the ones that will help you and support you when everything does fall apart, and that you will help and support when everything falls apart, with this really deep emotional acuity. So the inner child for the people in this reading, I think, has very deep feelings, a great capacity to love, but a very, very honest and expansive and knowledge-based kind of love, which for some will work out very well, but could also be challenging because some people like the artifice in love, and the truth teller will not want to see this. And some people want the sort of like the kind of possession and the solidity of love, and the love child will want the freedom to love because they love, not because they have to be committed. And it may well be that these are two aspects of your inner child that saw when that didn't work out. Say you could have come from a family where people, your parents stayed together because of commitment rather than the sense that they loved anymore. Or there could be many things that create this kind of archetype. And when you're talking about things as powerful as, say, the high priestess and the devil on the sort of like psychic occult side of things, you definitely, your inner child is not unaccustomed to the shadow and understanding the shadow. The point is to be able to release that and liberate that with the tower energy, and to still be able to love and connect, to not feel that everything is either too constrictive or too unstable. So I feel that's the kind of balance that your inner child is looking to find, and you find it through understanding and knowing on an intellectual level, learning level, travel level, philosophy level, but also on knowing on a psychic level. So let's ask with the tarot, what is the key blessing of your inner child? King of Cups reversed. Five of Wands reversed. Devil reversed. That's interesting. Ace of Cups. And Page of Cups reversed. Okay, so the first thing I get very strongly, because the Devil card has come up here, and the Devil is one of the parents in a sense of the love child, but it is the part that potentially constricts, that it is through your love nature with the Ace of Cups, your inner child's love nature, so the love side of this, that you free yourself. That it is in fact how you love that is the way that you free yourself. You do it fully, you do it ecstatically. Your inner child wants to connect because of true emotion and not because of convention or commitment and so forth. So one of the blessings of that, because you are so honest with the truth teller, you are so clear on what is really going on as opposed to the artifice or the convention, that love nature can in fact liberate you. And it also liberates you from a sense of being embattled sometimes. I think that many of you may have felt embattled when you were young, either in your family or at school or something like that. Embattled by the rules. Some of you may have been very unconventional in the way that you learnt, actually. You may have really excelled at things that you enjoyed and you felt natural, and the arts and creativity and that sort of thing, and anything to do maybe with sort of emotional intelligence, but maybe not as much around the conventional and the structured sort of side of things. So your inner child, in a sense, has the blessing now of liberating you from that and getting closer to what your heart is. The issue, I think, that your inner child needs to deal with is that you've seen something where emotional energy was either over the top or overwhelming, or did not live up to what it said it was going to be. So I do think there's some, and we are going to look at what needs to be healed, but I do think we're almost seeing this, that to some degree you had to see it to understand what love was truly to you and how to liberate yourself. But there was a sort of a whiplash to it. And I think this is the sense of the tower energy with the truth teller, that you had to see how things shouldn't be to be able to understand how they should be. But your inner child is able to sort of see that now. So let's ask, what healing does your inner child need? Emperor reversed, okay. World reversed. The Sun. And the Four of Cups. There are patterns. I do think for many of you, it's probably from the paternal line in your family, or from male energy, sort of parental or nurturing or teaching figures. There is something that happened where that was not right. And I feel it was a combination of like emotional manipulation and power abuse in some way. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be extreme abuse or anything like that, but there was something where you saw patterns of love or patterns of connection or patterns of almost like ownership that were not appropriate. And you do need to heal that. You need to understand you can let that end, that this ends with you. Your truth-telling nature and your will towards freedom makes that end. You are not taking this forward. If this was sort of something generationally in your family, you are shifting it. You are moving to the sun. Part of your life path is actually to shine the light on this and to free and liberate yourself and others from this emotional patterning that is not right. But you have to understand it for yourself, because somewhere the inner child took this in and felt more like the tower energy, felt more like the devil energy, felt more like if you stood up to it, everything would fall apart. And that's not true. That's actually where the lover's energy and the high priestess comes out. The psychic ability and the true love energy that you have creates the sun. But you were somehow almost convinced that your energy could just replicate this. So your inner child needs to heal that and understand you can break out of those patterns. So let's ask who impacts your inner child. So we've seen the blessing, which is to get the freedom, and we've seen what it is that you need to heal. So who will impact this? We have the Six of Pentacles, Judgment reversed, and the Knight of Coins. Okay, so the good thing firstly is you are going to find allies with this, with the Six of Pentacles. So this energy is being, or your inner child is finding better nurturing patterns, better sort of ways of being. And I do think that many of you are going to manifest this understanding within your workplace or within your vocation on some level. So I think that there is something about benefactors, people who understand it, people who would be loyal to what you're trying to do and see the heart energy in it. But it's interesting with Judgment reversed, because it feels to me as though it's not so much that people impact your inner child. I think your inner child is so strong, so clear, that you impact others. You are shifting people out of where they can't make decisions and where they feel that they're trapped also in some sort of generational karma or something. It's almost as though you could make a career or a business in some way out of redressing that balance and bringing things into a material thing. And I think some of you, there might be a clue in the love child about dance and music and so forth. Some of you may do it creatively through art in some way. Others through maybe a spiritual pursuit with the high priestess. Others of you, again, it may be just that you create material outcomes and material opportunities for people to get them unstuck. A big part of your inner child is here to actually break generational karma, break patterns that are not healthy, break illegitimate power, all of that. You were brought in with these very powerful archetypes to do this, and you will find the supporters around you, which is nice to know. But you in turn will help liberate them. So let's see some of the immediate future or fortune around your inner child at the moment by getting a couple of the painted runes. So just see the rune energy, which is sort of fortune and change energy around you at the moment for your inner child, pile 1. So we have Thurazaz and Kano. So I think this gives some very clear indications, and this connects back to this, and this in a way connects to this. Thurazaz is about being on the threshold, the gateway. It does mean you have to be a bit out of your comfort zone, but you're going to find stability, I think. Other people will help you do it, but you are on the gateway, the threshold, the change, the understanding of what it is that the blessing of your inner child's experience and how you can heal yourself and others with it. But you're meant to sort of get that you are there. And I think that the High Priestess in particular will take control here, because I think if you refuse to look at this and do it, then the Tower comes and you will be forced through the gateway. But I think that you are understanding this, you will know. And then Kano is also about an opening, but this is about fire, passion, creativity, bringing in love, the love that you want, bringing in the creativity that you want, using creativity to spread your message and tell your truth. I think for many of you, some form of creative pursuit would be extremely good at giving voice to your inner child, and also starting to create the sort of material momentum for what your inner child has been brought in to do through you. So that's very exciting. Let's get you some astrology to help you on the way, pile 1. Astrology or numerology energy. $11. Yes, you are. Well, I mean, that doesn't surprise me with one of the sort of parents to your inner child being the High Priestess. You are very much connected to the upper realms, very much connected to the divine levels. You've come in with a mastery of that. So your inner child knows what it's doing, definitely, and is able to deal with, to some degree, I almost feel like the Tower energy, the lightning strike that hits the Tower in most decks that depict the Tower in that way, could be akin to the lightning strike pathway, which is the divine coming down into earth in the Kabbalah. So there's definitely this sense that you are going to be inspired. There is, and again, if you are creative, there is something like channeling creative energy. You're definitely getting the support on that level as well too, not just in the material. Saturn return. For some of you, you may be seeing this reading when you're in a Saturn return. So if you're between 28 and 30, 58 and 60, or even potentially 88 and 90, there are different meanings for the Saturn return. The first Saturn return, the 28 to 30, is where you really consolidate who you are in the world. And I think for many of you, if you are in that time frame, that's what we're looking at. That's the energy that we're looking at. But interestingly, the second Saturn return between 58 and 60 is about the freedom to be truly who you are. And there is an essence of freedom here. So some of you may be approaching or in your second Saturn return, and you're starting maybe to think about how creatively you can get the message through after a lifetime of seeing this and understanding the world. So it just depends who's come here. You don't have to be in that time frame. If you're not, it really is about working out what your responsibility is, what your role is in a way with Saturn return, and how you can do that both in terms of commitment and freedom. And the waning gibbous moon. So the waning gibbous moon is, sorry, I was just having a mind, I just said stop that for a second because my mind just suddenly froze for some reason. Might mean something. The waning gibbous moon is about synthesizing and integrating lessons. Maybe I was almost getting kind of static on the wavelength with this. There may be something here where you need to face one of the lessons that was more unpleasant to face. Given that, with the Truth Teller we have High Priestess and we had the Tower, there may be one thing that is harder to integrate than others. And I think it has to do with maybe parental protection or the lack thereof for some of you. It's probably not going to be everybody, but there was something that just literally froze my brain there, and that doesn't usually happen. But it is necessary to integrate it. But I feel like there's a resistance for some. But understand that once you do it, that's when you can bring through the energy to create and be free. So it won't be as painful as you think, but it is necessary, pile one. Okay, so let's get you some alternative parental energies, not just the major arcana, but also a goddess and a god, so for the sort of divine feminine, divine masculine, that will help you integrate and use your inner child to its highest potential. So the goddess energy, so the divine feminine for you is Amaterasu, self-esteem. So this was a goddess of great light and great beauty that was sort of hidden away at one point, but then was able to escape from being hidden away. She's sort of the sun, you know, so the sun energy around you. This is what's meant to be healed. You're meant to become like her, shining your light. So I feel as though, particularly with the moon, because this is like the sun and then there was the moon, I think that some of what you grew up in, some of what created this sort of kind of tension between understanding what's going on and wanting to tell the truth without it falling apart, and wanting to love but not being wanted to be constrained, whatever that dynamic was that we've got with these two things, there is a time now with the moon energy to move over to the sun. You're meant to come out and be seen. There's something very creative in you. Okay, now let's get you a divine masculine sort of paternal energy. I think this one might be particularly important because I think there's something about that you've dealt with in your life. It's either been an absent paternal sort of figure, or it's been too dominant, or it's been one that sort of drifted off into the shadows in the family dynamic, something like that. So the god, Hermes, communication. Yeah, it may well be that you know, some of the sort of divine masculine or sort of paternal, you know, parental sort of energies or whatever may seem a bit distant, you know, like very authoritarian or distant in some way. This is bringing through more communication, connecting you with that energy, connecting you with what would be the appropriate way to be more like the Six of Pentacles, the sort of benign, benefic, rather than the one who is emotionally controlling, that I think is a pattern that you've seen. So I think this is to make you shine and to let you communicate who you really are. And again, I have a sense of creativity, writing, those sorts of things. So it's kind of fitting what I had sort of intuitively felt to finish off the reading, which is actually to get you an icon from the music oracles, you in particular with the music energy here. But I just wanted to get somebody who was very free and open with their creativity to really give some advice to your inner child about how to come into their own. So let's see who you get. It could be just humorous, just laugh and have a bit of a chortle about it all if it's funny, but if it's profound, take the message. So we have, wow, Nick Cave. Now, that doesn't surprise me, because you are in the moon, you're the tower, you're the high priestess, you're the devil, you're all of those things. Like you're going to be deep. So I'm not surprised you got Nick Cave. Nick Cave is saying, be sure to be the last guest at the cannibals' dinner party. Yeah, don't get eaten up by this past. You saw the truth. You can take something forward. You can be not only the last person standing, but the person who starts a new generational way of being. He says, embrace your limitations to become a wonderful disaster. This is understanding, actually, the energy of the tower. What do you see and know, and how can you take that so it doesn't collapse? It actually becomes something that's special and unique. And waiting for inspiration is just waiting. So don't hold back. Don't feel that you can't do this. That the only way is up, really, once you start to express yourself. And I think your inner child is longing to express their truth and to dance and to sing and to play and to not worry about the consequences, because they know with their inner knowing that in actual fact you have all the skills you need to keep the world together, keep your world together, and to help others to be free as well. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 1. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the fallen child, and then the secondary aspect of your inner child here is the secret keeper. We have some astrological information for how the aspects of your inner child work. So firstly, to tell you who the parents are of these, to give you a bit of a sense, therefore, of the energy of your inner child. The fallen child is the child of the Hierophant and the wheel. So the energy of learning and of structure and of rules and of the traditional, and then the wheel, the energy of change and fortunes rising and falling, and how those two energies come together. So the story being told about the fallen child is the sort of sense of how we learn by reversals and by successes. When we fall as a child, we tend to get up, we fall off a bike, but if we fall as an adult, perhaps we sort of feel a little bit more worried about the implications of getting up and so forth. So the child, in a sense, has more of an understanding that one day you'll win the race and you'll have a wonderful time, and another day you may lose the race, or you might literally fall or something like that. This is an energy and a knowledge within you that says that sometimes I'm in the hands of fate and sometimes I'm in my own hands, but I can learn and I can understand the rules and I can start to navigate that. And that's being permeated with Taurus, the energy of almost a kind of stubborn resolve here. Like this child, the inner child that you have, is not going to be defeated. That's one of the beauties about your inner child. It's very strong. It learns. It does not sit and sulk. It doesn't do anything like that. You learn, you pick yourself up, you move on. There's a very great resourcefulness in your inner child. And it is tilted towards achieving the life that you would like with Taurus. This is around abundance. It is around the material things of life. It is about the good life. So you are learning, your inner child learns about the structures, the rules, all of those sort of things from the Hierophant, and then how to navigate fortune to bring about abundance. There's a high manifestation energy with this. The other part of your inner child, the secret keeper, is the child of the Hermit and Temperance, or in this deck, the Temperance is called the Alchemist. So pretty significant spiritual energy here, spiritual knowledge. And it's interesting, the Hierophant is like traditional knowledge and knowledge here in the world, how you manifest it in the world. Your spiritual knowledge that comes through having a combination of the Hermit and Temperance, or the Alchemist as your parents, is all about inspiration, the new, and the electric and the channeled. So you have a very strong, your secret keeper here has a very strong inner knowing about what is going on in the world. And it's almost like your inner child has the keys to the kingdom, to be honest, but you know when to speak of it and when not to. So the secret keeper is all about trying to balance when you tell others and inspire others with Uranus, using the temperance side, bringing that into balance, and when something does need to be kept secret, like the Hermit. Someone like you could go and learn the mystery skills, and then use that in material outcomes, definitely. And you would know there would be certain things you could talk about and certain things you couldn't talk about if you did that. So that's a very, very, very literal way of looking at the inner child. But your inner child is resourceful. Your inner child is very dialed into the universe. Your inner child has a great deal of grit and courage. So that is wonderful, and a great deal of inspiration can bring about the life that you want. But of course, there will be times probably where the secrets, your secrets are lost, or you have to give more than you want, or you feel that it's harder to get up. So we will be exploring what needs to be healed in your inner child as well as everything else. But let's first of all ask with the tarot, what are the particular blessings of your inner child? We have the Four of Pentacles reversed, the Five of Cups reversed, the Queen of Coins reversed, the Alchemist, but the Alchemist is reversed, so that's interesting, and Knight of Swords. So I feel like some of the blessing of your inner child is yet to be fully realized, Pile 2. Doesn't mean you won't. It's just there is a hint here how to do it, but there is a kind of a reason. If you feel like, well, why haven't I manifest? Why do I feel like I'm falling more than I'm getting up? Why do I feel like I haven't found all the secrets yet? With the Alchemist reversed, when the Alchemist is one of your parents, it tells me that in the sense of that side of your inner child, that you have been more drawn to the hermit and to that which is secret than that which is shared. So some of you, and it may even be that you felt if you did share it, with family or friends or whatever, it wouldn't even be understood, because with Uranus here, it is so ahead of its time that you may have felt, I don't even know how to express it. I don't know how to share it. And as a result, you haven't fully brought about, with the Queen of Coins reversed here, the kind of manifestation that you could bring. But it's all there. I always read, reversals, not as bad, but as kind of suppressed energy. So the blessing is it's all there. And you could come out of a sense of feeling emotionally disappointed, that you feel, I do feel many of you may feel you sit more in the fallen stance of this child rather than the one getting up. But on the other hand, with the Four of Pentacles reversed here, from every time that that's happened on a material level, you are freeing yourself from any sort of wrong think or any sort of sense where you haven't understood things. You really do learn. And I don't think that you have to learn twice. Every time you have sort of some sort of secret revealed to you, or you feel that something didn't work out, you learn from it, you let that energy go. So that's good. But you haven't fully understood that part of what you can do is connect with others. Knight of Swords here, because you're so quick, because you're so Uranian, and it is part of your blessing. But I think that what this is saying is that you need to find the people who are as quick as you are, and the people who will understand. And I do think for some of you, going and sort of joining, mystery schools or spiritual groups or something like that, or just through education in general, and there is an education side to this as well, using this excellent mind, you'll find the people to connect with. So it's all there, but if you feel that you haven't fully manifest what you could, and you really do have the strength to do it, and you do have a lot of the secrets, the key is that the alchemist side, the temperance side, the balance side is not quite there. And maybe that you're tilting too much to your head and not enough, say, to your heart. So let's have a look at what healing does your inner child need that would maybe turn some of this around. Queen of Cups, Page of Cups reversed, Nine of Swords reversed, Ten of Swords reversed. So some of you may have gone through some significant reversals with this. You may have really felt that you're stuck in that sort of fallen position, that you haven't been able to sort of find your like-minded people. You might have felt stabbed in the back. You might have felt worried about whether maybe you have to keep secrets in your job. Maybe there's something that you do that is very, very tense on that level and very mentally wearing. So there's something in that. There's almost kind of getting off your own back mentally. This is why the Hermit in this case needs to take a little bit of a back seat, let the Alchemist come through, bring through the Queen of Cups energy. I feel like that's a very alchemical energy here. So letting your heart take over a bit, because you have closed it up and closed it off a bit with the Page of Cups reversed. I feel like, maybe, with relationships or even just connections with others about who you could share some of this knowledge with and develop things with, that you may have started and tried and it didn't work and you felt really betrayed. So this could be in a love relationship, it could be in a collaboration, it could be in anything, but there's something like that needs to be healed. But this is the point, your own inner knowing, which is from the Alchemist, which is from the emotional authenticity rather than just relying on your mind. I feel like because you're so resilient, you're so tough, Baltu, you really are. Your inner child just gets up and understands it and learns the lesson and moves on. And there's a lot to be said for that, but it does put a lot in the mind. You do need to connect to your heart as well too, to heal the energy of the disappointment, and because that really strong mind can start to bring about, it's almost like you start to bring about the structure with the Hierophant of things that don't work out. Whereas in actual fact, you're meant to be working out the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, to work out how to barter with fate in a way. So let's see how other people are impacting on your inner child. Ten of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, Ace of Wands reversed. It's all there for you. It really is. Like finding the right people, which is about reconnecting to your heart, I think. And it doesn't have to be love. It doesn't have to be a love relationship, though it could be. If it is, it'll be a long-term one. You can bring in a long-term one, sort of a family one. But there is definitely something about materially having like stability and growth. Others can bring it. This is the point. It's like, I feel like you felt like you had to do it all yourself. Maybe you were an only child and your parents were, working really hard, and a lot of the time you just had to pick yourself up and dust yourself off when you wanted sympathy, for instance, which we all want when we're kids and we fall off our bike or whatever. There's that kind of energy. So I feel like it's saying that's fantastic, and you always have that resilience, but connecting with others, that's what actually gives you the stability, the manifestation. That's what makes that happen. And it starts to make you think about what you could create, because you haven't really thought about that yet. You've kind of been looking at understanding the system that you operate in and how to navigate that and in what its secrets are. But it's like, that's like understanding the system, like in the Matrix, being like the alchemist, or not the alchemist, the architect, like understanding the system of it. But like, you almost need to hack the system with your creativity, and other people bringing that energy in helps you understand how to do that, because that's where the alchemist really comes out. That's where temperance really comes out, because it's the alchemical process. It's the transformation. It's the new creation. Everything before that is all the sort of elements going into it. And this is almost like the grado in alchemy, which is fairly dark night of the soul. But other people, connections with other people, the right other people, obviously, and your inner knowing will help with that. It's going to unlock something in you that's very creative, as opposed to analytical. And it's action-oriented as opposed to observational. Like, you've almost got a kind of a journalistic, academic feeling here, and sitting as the hermit. But if you actually start to connect with the alchemist, the other people, you can make money with this, you can manifest with this, and you'll open up creativity. So that's pretty powerful. Let's see what immediate sort of like fortune energy is around you with the painted runes, for your inner child to really come into its true power and strength. Pile 2. So you have Awaz and Perthro. So this is very interesting. Awaz is that you're in a point of transition. You're starting to get there, and I think having the connection to people or whatever, it really is about movement, progress. But it does say manage speed, and so this is your mind. Your mind goes so fast to the solution, rather than maybe looking at the first principles and what you could create that was new. It's how do I navigate this, not how can I fix it or create something new. So you're on a transitional point. Perthro is all about the mysteries. This is initiation. This is getting into deep transformation. So this is this part of your inner child operating. And there's a kind of journey to go on. Be excited to go on that journey, but I feel like it's a journey that should not be gone on alone, that you should have friends, companions, teachers, whatever it may be. You have an enormous amount of innate knowledge, but there are others that can help you bring this into being and then give you that sense of stability to grow whatever this new thing is. But your biggest problem at the moment is partly the resilience that you've developed and the speed with which you just get up and get on with it. You have learnt the lessons, but you haven't taken it to that next level because you need the connection to other people. So that's pretty exciting. Let's see what astrology or numerology energy can help you, pile 2. Because you're in a child when it really comes into its own, it connects with others, and it starts to give out the right secrets. It could be an incredible teacher, an incredible coach, an incredible mentor for other people. Okay. We have Yod. Yeah, you have a sense of destiny, all right. We'll have a look at the planets for this, but like, there's something. I reckon most of you probably spent lives, other lives in the mystery schools or something like that. 6, yeah, but it is meant to be done in community and collaboration with others. You can't fully bring about the promise of your inner child without the interaction with others. And waxing gibbous moon. So this is about clarifying your goals and pushing past the blocks. And the blocks is really this sort of sense of I must do it all myself. Let's have a look at the Yod. Let's look at the 2 energies and what they're pointing towards. We'll just deal out till we get the planets. So 1 is action, Mars. So yeah, doing something, acting. And that Ace of Wands, turning that around with other people, because other people are important for this. The Sun, yeah, to find out who you really are action to really define who you are, as opposed to sort of watching it. And then Pluto, oh my goodness, you're a powerhouse. The transformation you could bring about in yourself and in others is profound, but you have to start to act towards this. It's acting rather than observing. It's doing something with it rather than just understanding it. You can't just sit behind and watch the world and understand it. You really have to do something. You're meant to do something because it's transformational for you and it's transformational for others. Okay, so let's get you a goddess and a god as sort of like alternative or additional kind of divine feminine and masculine parental sort of energies for your inner child. So firstly, the goddess energy that could most help your inner child, pile 2. Easter, new beginnings, yeah. I mean, in some ways, your inner child understands this. Is this whole, I fall over, I get up again, and I start again, and I don't need to learn that again, and I've got the secrets now, and so forth. You have that energy, but Easter is actually really quite joyful. It's bringing more joy into it, and I think it's the new beginnings that you could have connecting with other people and with your heart. That Queen of Cups, the sort of divine feminine will help you. You've probably erred a little bit towards the divine masculine, I would think. Let's see, speaking of, let's see what God or Titan would also help you. Bane, beauty. Wow. So I think this is almost a tilting again towards, the beauty, the sort of divine feminine, but this is the sort of divine masculine. But Bane is a First Nations god for here in Australia, and is a creator god. So there is a creative energy. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like the real power that your inner child has through learning and understanding that there are cycles, and all creativity is cycles, and knowing the secrets, but bringing that into the alchemical process is to almost create a new world, a new way of being, a new life for yourself and for others, a stable one that can grow, one that is beautiful. You can't just be a spectator, pile 2, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but I feel it's like you have so much more to bring. And there is a great deal of wisdom that you can bring, and your inner child is wanting to bring that out. So that is really profound for ultimately taking it to something creative. So that fits really nicely with the last part of this reading, which I wanted to use the music oracles to get a music icon, a creative icon for a creative energy, to just give you some advice for your inner child bringing all of this together. So this could just be amusing. It sometimes is with this deck, but it is often equally profound. So we'll just see who you get. PJ Harvey. So I thought it would be deep, but I had a very strong feeling it would be a woman, because I think this is a key thing, the divine feminine for you, regardless of whatever your gender is or you identify with. The divine feminine is really important to this. But it is deep and very Plutonian and very the secrets of the universe, because she's very deep. She says, when in doubt, swim to new ground. Yeah. Yeah, and you kind of know this, your inner child kind of knows this already, but there is a new ground, a new capacity, I think, which is with others. She says, jam with others, but remain the lead. So yeah, you don't have to lose out on this, and you may well be teaching others with what you do, but connecting with others is important. And she says, redream past lives. So yeah, I think you've brought in a lot from a past life. Your inner child was pretty much an adult from day one, I'd say, and knew the mysteries and understood the way that the world operated. But I do think that it's just saying that you're shortchanging your inner child at the moment by just relying on that. It's time now to start to create and bring in that abundance that the Taurian energy is there for you to do. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading, pile 2. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you were potentially drawn to the troublemaker card, the troublemaker child, which I have a sort of a fondness for just on principle. So I think that may have been what drew you. Something else may have drew you, but that is one part of your inner child. And then we also have nobody's child as the other part. And then we have some astrology for how these aspects are kind of playing out for you at the moment in the world. So the troublemaker is one of the children that has 3 parents from the major arcana. It has strength, the hanged man, and the chariot. So really interesting sort of energies of sort of strong inner sense, and I think Leo's there very much. Chariot being able to move forward, strength, momentum, and so forth. But the hanged man being like, how do you like what are the limitations you might have around that, what sacrifices might be required, all those sorts of things. This card talks about getting back in touch with what is joyful and not what would be sacrificial, enjoying the drama and so forth. It talks about the circus, the sort of sense of sort of wildness and so forth, and owning that part of you. So there is a side of you that is dramatic and exciting and adventurous and all of those sort of things. And that part of the inner child, this card is asking you to honor. But it is asking you, did you sometimes get pushback for that when you were young? Were you kind of seen as the troublemaker? Were you always very dramatic, very different, very, very alive? And don't lose that. Don't lose that energy and so forth. The Hanged Man might have been a restrictive energy around it, but the Chariot wants to move forward, and the strength knows that they can do it and so forth. So I feel for many of you were quite dramatic, a bit sort of different when you were young. And I think there is still that side of you. And it's a beautiful side of you. That which is fun, that which breaks the rules a bit, not in an unreasonable way, not in a sort of anarchic way, but in a way that truly expresses yourself. And it's important to have that because you have nobody's child as the other part, which is the child of justice and the world. And this card talks about being free, how you're free in a different way. So the restrictions of the Hanged Man, this is justice in the world, is like having the breadth of the world, but having it in a balanced way that allows you freedom, like justice, like true justice being the freedom to be who you are. And it asks you to think about whether you were always able to be free when you were young. So there's definitely a sense in here of an inner child that was different and quirky and dramatic and adventurous and brave, and very well balanced, and wanted to sort of see the entire world, or felt the entire world was in their home, and wanted their entire world to be the place that they felt safe. But you may have found that some of that was restricted in your home, and part of what you may be looking for is the place where you can feel at home in the world. And you may have a very strong sort of sense and wish to travel and to experiment and to explore and to be seen in some way, so that you are accepted, I think, and celebrated for what you have. Because you are, with justice in the world, you have a very big view of things and a very balanced view of things. But I just feel because it was different, you may not have been fully understood. So I think your journey with your inner child is how to be dramatic, exciting, adventurous, and in the world, but also feel at home, always within yourself and with other people. So let's have a look with the tarot. Firstly, what the blessing of your inner child is. Eight of Cups reversed. Knight of Wands reversed. That's interesting. I'll get to why I think that's interesting. Death. Nine of Cups reversed. 10 of Cups. Okay, so there's definitely the blessing that you could find the true home from having not maybe felt that way. Doesn't necessarily mean you were terribly unhappy at home, but I think that you just might have been a bit different. And you might have always thought, my stage is bigger than this. All the world's a stage, as the Bard would put it. That kind of feeling. So the blessing is to come out of feeling not fully engaged and fully satiated emotionally to having that, and to having your home and having your family and having your people around you. And the blessing says this is really a choice. You can do that. You can leave behind, with the Eight of Cups reversed, emotional patterns that weren't working. You may stay in them at the moment because you don't want to venture out as much as you could. With the Knight of Wands reversed, it's really interesting with the home there. Knight of Wands, the upright form of it, is often the card of actually leaving home, moving home. So some of you your inner child may be yearning to live somewhere else, or sort of travel the world, or do things like that. But right at the moment, you're maybe not fully allowing yourself to do that. But there is a choice. There is a choice to do that and still have happiness. And not to take that choice is to limit yourself to always the cups, in a sense, not being full. So you do need a bigger stage, but you need to feel at home in that bigger stage as well too. And this is saying there's a choice, but at the moment you may be suppressing some of that sort of dramatic flair, and you're being careful. You're being careful, but this is saying that it's only in the choice of embracing who you truly are that you'll get what you want. So let's ask what healing your inner child needs. Four of Cups reversed, Seven of Swords, the Lovers, Queen of Coins. Okay. So I think with the Four of Cups reversed, and it's a bit like the Eight of Cups reversed, the healing is around emotional patterns and how you could negotiate those. Using the Justice, see, it's Seven of Swords, sometimes sort of tricky environments, and there could have been some tricky environments around you, particularly maybe around love relationships or how you love or who you love, that kind of thing. But the Seven of Swords always to me is also the great negotiator. And I feel like with Justice as being one of the parents to your inner child, you really have that ability. You just have to own that you have that ability. And you negotiate the kind of relationships you want that you feel you could commit to. Because then it's sort of like, the interesting energy of this is that some of you, your inner child may need you to travel the world and be dramatic and to be seen and to be famous. And some of you may very well do that. And then your challenge will be, how do you find the sort of like the stability of home? But you'll find the sort of creative energy. For others of you, it's almost as though you could search the whole world and do that and be incredibly successful. But where you'll really heal is finding the love match and the home within where you really feel at home. And there is the blessing of that potential, but you need to let go of almost low expectations around love. For some reason, you have low expectations around love. So let's ask how other people are impacting your inner child. So we have the Six of Cups reversed, the Six of Pentacles, and the Hermit reversed. Okay, I do think for many of you, your inner child in childhood or in school, early development, this emotional pattern was set in place. That's how this happened, and there was a sense, I think, that you were different, didn't quite fit in, and you were wondering where your place was in the world and where your home was in the world. But there are people who will get you. There is a mutual, material, beneficial thing for you. You just need to come out from behind the scenes a bit, because you are a bit behind the scenes. So for some of you, you're thinking, I want to be creative, I want to act, I want to perform, do it, because it's in going out and doing that you're going to find your people, you're going to find material success, you're going to find the kind of like love that you want, all of that kind of thing. For others of you, it just may be in being the type of relationship you want to have with others, in being the benefactor, in being generous and so forth, breaking these old patterns that feel like there's a lot of emotional energy that just got stuck. You can actually bring about the home that you want, and you maybe don't have to venture out quite as far, but you can't just stay in the contemplation of it. You do need to act. You do need to be in the world in some way. Okay. So let's see what the energy of fortune is around you at the moment using the painted runes. So this will be a couple of runes to sort of show what's around the sort of development of your inner child. And this sense of self, I think, and finding your home and finding your people, this is what it's really all about. So we have Algiz, and we have Perthra. Well, that's interesting. I think that came up for one of the others. And what's interesting is that of all the combinations so far, this one is the most in the world, and it's about being in the world. Strength, the Hangman, the Chariot, Justice, the World. They aren't necessarily sort of esoteric cards. But Perthra is about initiation, a deep transformation, a mystery. So it may be saying that part of the pathway for this too is to go within your sort of spiritual pathways as well, your inner child. I almost feel like one of these inner childs, I think it may be the troublemaker, would be the natural pathway through to that, to get to the inner knowing. Because I feel like Justice in the World is very thought-oriented. It's very materially oriented. Whereas I think the creative anarchy that could be within the troublemaker is the way, but there's a initiation that you need to go through to be able to, I think, clear this energy. It's almost like some sort of ritual to clear the energy in some way. And then Algiz is about becoming a protector and bringing clarity and mastery to others. So I feel as though, and this is what I'm saying, it felt like the way that you do this is to become the protector, the benefactor to others. Like it's almost like if you were sort of someone who's very arty and quirky, like actually being a patron of others who do creativity would be something that would actually bring this out and connect you to the right people. It's something like that. It's almost like you take an action to take that role because you really understand the world and you're strong enough to do this. And you can bring a kind of delight and a bit of anarchy and stir things up a bit, but you ultimately protect others somehow. That seems to be the way that you find your lasting sort of happiness and the home that your inner child is looking for. So it's like finding a role. So let's see what astrology or numerology could help you. So firstly, the waxing crescent moon. So this is, you need new intentions, new seeds. This is understanding. This is the inspiration. I feel like there's some sort of spiritual, maybe creative sort of exercise to do that is like this initiation that opens up for you what you could do to bring this in. Then we have the sun, to follow your life path, to be who, and you are meant to, Leo, you're meant to be seen, you know. You definitely are. I think for many of you, you're meant to be like famous in some way, at whatever level you feel comfortable with, because some of you may not feel entirely comfortable with being out there in the world. But you may also have, actually, I'm getting some of you may have a little bit of a hidden benefactor as well, who sees your talent and sees what you bring to the world. And they may, in fact, be a protector of you too. So these cards could be operating both within you and within others. And then we also get 6. So you are meant to be out with people, find your people. And again, 6. There's a benefactor sort of concept here, a generosity concept, and being with others. You're very quirky, you're very different, you're very dramatic. You probably will perform the hell out of everything and everybody will be like, wow. But you are meant to find your people, pile 3. So let's see what other sort of divine feminine and masculine energy. So apart from the archetypal parents that you have from the tarot, let's have a look at a goddess or siren and a god or a titan as sort of the divine feminine and masculine energies that can also help you now as you integrate and empower your inner child as an adult. So in terms of divine feminine, we have sirens, temptation. Yeah, see, you're very attractive. This is the thing, you'll draw people to you. You've just got to get out in the world and like sing your song or do your performance or make your creation or whatever it is. You are meant to draw people in. Now, it may be because you're a little bit, people may think you're a little bit, anarchic and a little bit dangerous. But I think you ultimately, if you take on this role of protecting others, then that energy can be siphoned into something that people feel more comfortable with and are more likely to be able to commit to. And then with the divine masculine, we get Loki, play. Oh, wow. Troublemaker, Loki, sirens. Yeah, you're a triple threat, aren't you? Part 3. You really, it's fantastic. I really like the energy. I just kind of thought I was going to like, the people who came to Part 3. You're fun, you're entertaining, you're wild, you're different. But you are also balanced. But you're too big a personality to not be on some form of big stage in some way, in whatever way you do it. And I think you're generous and connecting with others. It's going to bring. Just don't let old patterns where maybe that wasn't understood or you were told to be quiet and at your home or whatever it is. Don't let that stop you because you're larger than life, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so to finish off, very much in fitting with this, all 3 of these have had some creative energy to them, and you in particular, very playful creative energy. I want to use a card from the music oracles just to get a musical icon to give advice. This could just be humorous, and for yours in particular it might be with this energy, but having said that, it may also be profound. So let's just see who we get for you. John Lennon. So yeah, it is profound. Though he had a bit of a wicked wit in his own way, John Lennon. He could be, and he was different and a bit of a rebel. So all that energy there, but cared about the world, cared about justice, cared about all of those things, and was very much connected to his home and his family and all that. So there's a lot of energy that makes sense for him to come up for you. He says, not everything you see is a mirage, not everything you hear is a lie. So there are old emotional patterns to let go of. You will find your people, pile 3. We've got, if you enjoy wasting time, then it isn't wasted. So yeah, have a bit of fun. Loki over here telling you to play, sirens, to be, give in to temptation sometimes. Like, it's all good. And then he says, peace is the only thing worth hoping for. So so that's the first bits are kind of your Loki, your troublemaker, your siren. This last piece, peace is the only thing worth hoping for, is the other side of your inner child, which is justice in the world, that wants something that is bigger for the world, better for the world. And that energy combined with the kind of breakthrough energy of the troublemaker is profound and fun, but ultimately, just like John Lennon, stands for something bigger on an archetypal level. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 3. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Other than that, I hope to see you in future readings.